Tonight's episode, we will be discussing a few Crookston conversations with our Chancellor, Mary Holz-Clause, and Vice Chancellor, John Hoffman. And it looks like we are ready to go. So I will have you two introduce yourselves as well.
Great. Well, thank you, Amberly. So I'm Mary Holz-Clause, the Chancellor at the University of Minnesota Crookston. And I want to welcome you all for joining us tonight, all of our Golden Eagles and future Golden Eagles. And I think maybe there might be some parents out there, as well as some students who maybe just recently went through commencement, maybe a virtual commencement. So congratulations to all of you who have or will in the next couple of weeks go through commencement. It's certainly an interesting time, but a wonderful transition for you. And we hope that you enjoy that moment of getting virtually your diploma. And this past weekend, we just had more than 7,000 students within the University of Minnesota who also pranced virtually across the stage to accept their diplomas. And so we'll send you, we'll send you the link if you would be curious to see what you're going to look like 4 or 5 years from now when you walk across the stage here at the University of Minnesota Crookston. So as Amberly said, with me tonight is John Hoffman, who's the Vice Chancellor for Academic and Student Affairs. And I think maybe some of you maybe met John a couple months ago when we were having a virtual conversation. And so we're here today to answer maybe some of those questions that we did get covered or things that you've thought about since then. So John, I'll let you make a few remarks and we'll start going to try to answer some of those questions for everybody who's on with us tonight.
Well, sounds great. Again, my name is John Hoffman. I am Vice Chancellor for Academic and Student Affairs. And it's just a pleasure to be with you here this evening. When we talk about this, we're welcoming you into a part of our family, and we're hoping that we can become in a special way a part of your family as well as we do these connections. It can go unsaid, these are unique times, but there are also times when those close connections are really important. I know we hear a lot these days about folks trying to be socially distant. Well, we want to spend some time talking with you about how we can be socially engaged and connected even while we're maintaining physical distance to be safe. And want you to know as we get prepared that we have been spending extensive time and hours looking at multiple models and plans for how we can launch classes this fall. We're going to do this in a way that ensures that everybody is safe and healthy, but also in a way that ensures that you have a collegiate experience that's more than just a great experience in the classroom, but where you meet some of those friendships that are going to go with you for the rest of your life, that are going to change your life. Those relationships are really what makes a place like the University of Minnesota Crookston special. I know it's why I'm here, and it's why I'm looking forward to getting to know you better this fall. And well, let's get started with it here tonight.
So John, you made a comment about the importance of friendships, and I just want to share with our group. I actually just got off the phone about 10 minutes ago with a college friend. That was a long time ago, and we have maintained those friendships and relationships through that. And it's, as you said, that opportunity to be together, to experience going through that transition in your life that really does make a lifelong impact. You sort of touch a little bit upon making sure that all of our students are safe, but have you heard, I was going to say, we've been kind of hearing from parents and they want to know, are we going to be back this fall? So I know you're part of a group that's called the Sunrise Group that's looking at ways to bring students on campus. So maybe if you could tell a little bit about some of the safety precautions and really where we are right now in that decision process.
Absolutely, and what a great metaphor for this a sunrise. It's always been one of my favorite things, and certainly right now we're getting just these amazing sunrises here in Crookston. To me, it's a reminder that every day is a new start, and you know, college is one of those times when many folks aim to refine, but in some cases also to kind of recreate themselves. And so it's an important metaphor too, though, as we think about how we reopen campus and do so in a way that where we learn from the past year and in ways where we're even stronger. First and foremost, we've set out a series of values that we are using to guide our decisions. And at the top of the list is the health and safety of all the members of our community. I anticipate that many of you have seen other colleges and universities in the region and across the country that have been quick to make their announcements about what they're going to do this fall. And you may be wondering, why is it that the University of Minnesota Crookston and the University of Minnesota, why are we taking a different approach? Well, the next part of what we're doing is we're spending some really important time consulting with some of the leading experts in the world, literally leading experts in the world. We're a part
Which
of the university.
I'm going to say, and they're part of the University of Minnesota.
Yes, yes, we are connected to the University of Minnesota and its medical school and leading researchers. We spent some time with a couple of them earlier today in some meetings, but we've been meeting with them regularly, multiple times a week, to be informed about the latest research addressing COVID-19 and what it takes to ensure the safety. Things like some of the things I know you've heard a lot about: hygiene, wash your hands 5 times a day, 20 seconds for each time. Maintain that physical distance as you are engaging with others. Engage in screening protocols. I know that in the Midwest, sometimes we like to tough it out when we've got a little bit of a cough in the chest. And the advice that we're giving to folks now is no, do the opposite. You know what? It's probably just allergies, but I'm going to stay home just to be safe instead. We'll be looking at providing all the members of our communities with masks. And that's really certainly protects us, but even more so it protects the other members of our community. And some of the emerging research that we're looking at addresses the duration of time that individuals spend with one another, that shorter periods of time, 15, 20, 30, maybe 40 minutes, have much less risk than spending multiple hours engaging with another individual. All of these are fitting in with ways that we're looking at providing a classroom experience. We want to provide as much of an experience on campus for our students as possible, but we're going to draw, as we have for the past 20 years, on the technologically rich environment and our history of providing education online to ensure that you have a great experience.
And I'm sure that all of you are aware of this, but when you come to the University of Minnesota Crookston, when you're on campus, you do receive a laptop. And I can tell you, we're using those laptops right now that you'll be using, high quality resolution, and really allows you to be a student regardless of where you are, whether you're in your residence facility, if you're in the classroom, or other places as you're doing your homework. And John touched upon something which I think is really important, and that is as you transition to coming onto the campus and to really experience some things, maybe some things that you haven't tried before. I have been at some of our musical performances, which have just been amazing. And we have some students who had never been involved in a choir who found their voice. And this is a small enough place that people can have those various experiences and try things that perhaps they hadn't. So I would encourage every student to kind of get out of your comfort zone, experience something when you come here that maybe you haven't tried before, and to be open to new ideas and open to new thoughts and the diversity of the students that will come, that will maybe bring and challenge you with some thought processes that you haven't really thought about that before. And that's all part of that wonderful college experience.
You know, I think those experiences are so important too. And I think about some of the experiences we've been creating in town here recently, the kinds of things that will be a part of the collegiate experience. We recently had a tailgating experience in town where the Chancellor and her husband spent some time in a 20-year-old Audi, is that convertible,
Yeah.
driving around town. but stopping in at different houses where folks were, again, we were maintaining our distance, but we were connecting and engaging and being a part of relationships and celebrating the maroon and gold as we went around town and connected. And so as you think about those types of experiences, the things you've dreamed about being a part of your college experience, we're going to create those. We're going to continue to have those and find ways to connect and have that golden eagle pride just roll out forth. Yeah.
So could you tell a little bit about the first year experience, which we just initiated last year, what that entails, and of course what the end product is a much more cohesive and well-prepared student for future success. So maybe you could tell a little bit more about that.
Of course. So you think about, in fact, for those of you who are getting ready to go off to college, I imagine the last year or so, how many times have you heard that question? So where are you going to go to college? Well, we like to reframe that question here. We want you to ask from the start, where are you going to graduate from college? And that's our emphasis is from day one. We want you to think about student success. In fact, student success starts from aspiration and application, and we'll spend some time with you this summer with our student orientation and registration, our SOAR experience, helping you to think about how you will be successful this fall. When you arrive on campus, every one of our new students will be paired with a faculty advisor and a professional advisor. Those two individuals and others work together as a team to help ensure that you have multiple resources to help you be successful in everything from planning your classes to managing stress to study skills to internships and planning ahead for your career. We'll also engage you in 2 first-year seminar courses. This fall, you'll take UMC 1200, which is Introduction to the University Experience. That course is going to review study skills. Many of them are probably things you've learned in high school, but we like to go through the full gamut of the range of strategies and experience that students can use to be successful, especially in a rigorous university environment like at Crookston. The class will also look at working in teams, especially diverse teams, some health aspects in terms of financial health, managing your stress, sleep, exercise, and eating well. And it will lay a foundation for critical thinking. And that foundation is the transition into the course that you take in the spring, where you'll look at a unique topic that is related to your discipline or your major and engage in critical thinking and start to also apply that to career exploration. All of these set the tone for that hands-on learning experience that we pride ourselves in, that helps you to connect whatever it is that you're learning in the classroom to experiences outside the classroom and then also to your career.
And speaking of career, I'm sure a lot of students are aware of this, but as after the first year in their classes, we're really encouraging students to be engaged in internships and having experiences so they can take what they've learned in the classroom and put it for practical application into a workplace experience. So every one of our majors either requires a research or senior capstone project or an internship, because we don't want you just to know how to read and learn in the books. That's very important to understand the theory, but we also want you to be able to take that and apply it to your real life experiences going forward. And as I mentioned in my opening comments, we just had about 500 of our own students here in the Crookston campus who went through commencement exercises. And it's just amazing to us the success that our students have when they leave campus. Even in this tight job environment, we're finding it, learning from many of our students about the fantastic job offers that they have. Many have chosen to go on to professional schools and to graduate school. So I know for when you're coming in, that's probably not what you're thinking about what I'm going to do 4 years from now. But yet, as you go through school to set your goals and set your aspirations towards when you do walk across that commencement stage, what will be the next chapter and the next transition. And as a parent, I can tell you that I think that we really provide our students a really good grounding for their future. And I see Amberly, who's one of our alums, who's shaking her head on that too. So.
Yes, and if I can just throw a little personal story out there, I had a very unique opportunity. I actually took advantage of that internship, and I moved down to Fort Worth, Texas for a whole summer. This Minnesota girl survived a summer in Texas, but just that opportunity and those pushes to kind of, forced me to really kind of look out of my box. And now that's what I tell students when I'm visiting with prospective students, is this is the time in your life for you to really take advantage of those super cool opportunities that you can find here through Crookston. I knew I was not moving to Texas, but I figured I could take three months and try it out, and I loved it. And that faculty support and things like that, I know I would have had a hard time finding that first job without some of the support of my faculty advisors. Even after I graduated, they were still reaching out to me.
I want to kind of build on some of that, and I'll see if maybe I'm connected back to Chancellor Holz-Clause, because through my career, I've had an opportunity to work with quite a few presidents and chancellors in different institutions. I don't think I've ever met one, though, that is as engaged with students. It happens every week. I think I see you in a different space. And so I'm just curious, what does you kind of think back on your time here? What have been some of your most memorable experiences outside of the classroom together with some of our students?
Oh, well, when you said that, my most memorable was dressing up as Batman, and I ran into the Joker. And the Joker didn't know the Batman was a chancellor. So that was a very memorable day too, because I couldn't see in the costume, and I tripped and fell. And so it's really about having fun. And for me, it's almost being like a college student myself again, because of our interaction with the students. It really gives us joy to see our students grow and change. And I actually found out we have some real pool sharks too. A lot of people like to play pool. And so there's just so much activity that goes on. As if you've had a chance to be here on campus, it's connected. And so it's a big space where we're all able to both study hard as well as enjoy each other and enjoy life. So certainly some of those treasures are celebrating with our students. And my favorite day is always commencement, when you see students who are now realizing that all of their effort and energy has now earned them a 4-year degree from the University of Minnesota. So I'm going to reciprocate on that question, John. How about you?
Well, so my last institution before coming to the University of Minnesota Crookston was Cal State Fullerton, 40,000 students. And and certainly I got to know a number of students there, but the types of relationships that I've been able to have in Crookston, it just eclipses anything in prior experiences. And it's part of what I enjoy the most about my time here. I have in particular enjoyed those moments when I've been able to take a walk across campus. Sometimes students will set appointments, and I always ask my assistant Diane when there is an appointment, I said, well, is this one where we need to meet in my office, or can we take a walk across campus? And those are some of the best moments, walking, talking, engaging, mentoring in some cases, but also listening to the students and learning from them and some of the perspectives that they bring. I have certainly enjoyed also, when I can squeeze out a little time to play a game of pool with some of the students. But I remembered one of one of those that sticks out is spring break a year ago, as we had all of that snow, and you and a number of faculty and staff got together with some spray dye in different colors and little spray bottles, and we went out and created flowers and put a little bit of spring into the air in the snowbanks surrounding the residence halls, so that when our students came back from spring break, they would come back to a little bit of spring as they built momentum into the final. And I'm going to pass.
I do remember too, we had a couple of students who learned about the primary colors as we were mixing colors together, and our creative students in snow painting. So, and this year we celebrate winter. Winter is part of the University of Minnesota Crookston. This year we had an amazing snow sculpture. It took about 2 weeks for them to do it, and so it finally revealed itself as a tortoise. And then, of course, we had a contest to see when it melted also. So not only is it about learning, it's about taking advantage of where you are and living life and finding joy.
I want to change up the question just a little bit. So Amber Lee, as you talked about having had an experience, on campus as a student, tell us a little bit about some of your memorable experiences with a faculty or staff member on campus.
Well, I mentioned this a little bit briefly before, but actually my advisor was the one who called me about my first job and encouraged me. So like you said, we don't just about where you go to school, but where you graduate and even after that. And I remember telling her, I don't think I can do it. I don't think that's a job that I can do. And she had to sit me down, and I think she was shaking me a little bit, like, no, you can do this. You will be great. You need to be confident in this. I know it's your first job. I know it's scary, but I wouldn't have recommended you for it if I didn't think you were a good fit. So just that my advisor, like, knew me and knew my skills, or what I was good at, that she was able to kind of match me up with the job. And it was a fabulous job, and it was actually on campus as well. So I did not move too far away, but the personal connections and the office times and the outside of class times that our faculty are willing to give students. I spent hours in a couple instructors' offices when homework assignments and lesson plans just were not clicking for me, and they would take their time and help walk me through that whole process. And just that kind of personal connection is something that I think Crookston does exponentially well.
Thank you. So you had mentioned something about the personal connection, and I did see a list of some questions that have come in. And one of those was, how does Crookston go about supporting students who are maybe first generation, their parents haven't been to college? And I think that's an area, again, the personal connection, where we really excel very well. We have a number of people who also themselves are first generation. And so not only do they help professionally, but they also understand empathetically what perhaps that student may be going through. And so we are open and want to encourage all students. We don't want people to be afraid. We say that we want you to come to us. And we are about student success. I remember when I started school 1,000 years ago, I remember sitting there and the person said, look to your left, look to your right. Only 1 out of 3 of you will graduate from college. And those were the statistics back in those days. That is not the way that we are now. We are wanting every student. We have admitted our students because we know they can be successful. You're invited into the University of Minnesota Crookston because of your potential, and we're here to help and ensure that you're getting the services that you need. And so it's if students need more help. In fact, I remember calling my mother and saying, Mom, I'm flunking chemistry. And she goes, well, get a tutor. She knew to tell me what to do, but sometimes we don't know that as students, and we don't have a mom who. I was the youngest of 5, and she'd been through it before, so we don't have a mom who knows that this is what you have to do. And what we are, though, is that we hope you don't have to call your mom and dad and tell them that, and your parents. We're going to be there to see that you're needing help and assistance and provide those kinds of assistance, tutors, and help before you have to call your mom. So, John, I know you've worked a lot with student success and students. So could you talk a little bit more about some of those services that we provide and ways that we can help students be successful?
Yes, I'm so glad that you brought this up. And you know, there's a saying that your mistakes are the only things that you can truly call your own. And I think for so many folks, when they come to college, there is this pressure. It was for me. I felt like, oh, I'm supposed to be an adult now. I'm supposed to have the answers. I'm supposed to know how to do this. Well, here I am, and you know, I'm in midlife and well into my career, and I can now say that I still call my dad and ask for advice. I ask questions. How do you do this again? And so part of becoming an adult is learning how to ask those questions and ask for help. And it's part of the reason that we created our Student Success Center on campus and placed our First Gen Forward program in the Student Success Center. First Gen Forward is a national program for colleges and universities that have been identified for the excellent work that they are doing in serving first generation students and their families. We were one of approximately 40 campuses to be identified for the first ever cohort by the Center for First Generation College Student Success to be a part of this program. And what we do through that is try to create those types of experiences that makes it easier for students to ask for help and to connect with resources. I told you earlier that you will take a first year experience course in the fall. And I'm going to tell you up front that every 2 weeks, we will pull together all the faculty members who are teaching those courses, and we'll have a planning meeting. And the first thing we're going to talk about in that meeting is, are there any students in your classes who are struggling or who need a little support? We may connect with a coach or with someone in the residence halls, your faculty advisor, but we're going to reach out and connect with you early on to say, let's look at this and figure out how can we work through this and become successful. Our commitment is to ensure that every student is successful in earning a college degree, but not just earning that college degree, being able to use that degree to move forward. The reality is that if you are a first generation college student, you will become a first generation career seeker in terms of looking for that college, post-college job. And Amber Lee said it so well. Sometimes you need someone who knows you well, who can remind you of some of those things. Did you realize you're really good at this? Maybe you didn't recognize how special or how rare that is. I think you can use that skill as a part of your career to help you to grow and love the work that you are doing. I know that I've been surprised throughout my career by some of the jobs that have found me along the way. Those have been some of my best experiences. And that sometimes is what is needed for our students as they connect, again, faculty, Student Success Center, other folks around campus, but helping to guide you through your experience.
Amberly, I know we've been talking a lot. Are there any questions that anybody has given to you that we want to make sure that we cover?
We have not had any come in yet, but we did get a few ahead of time, which you guys have done a great job at covering for us here so far. So anything else that kind of stuck out that you wanted to talk about here?
You know, one of the things that we often hear about at this time are those questions about how to afford college. Mm-hmm. And that is certainly an important part of college success, is ensuring that you are graduating but doing so in a way that is financially responsible. So one of the things that we're going to do, again, that first year seminar course, we will have a financial wellness module. The module is led by one of our alums who is leading a new startup business that has received recognition from all over the country. They've been in Forbes magazine and received other types of awards for the work that they do in helping to teach folks how to manage their finances. That starts even in our campus with saying, you know, I'm living in the residence halls, but I can take those residence hall payments, those housing payments, and submit them to credit agencies to start to build credit so that when I graduate, I'm better positioned for the world that I'm entering. Of course, the other part of this is looking at the real costs of college. After our loan and aid packages that we provide for students, we are one of the most competitive institutions in the region in terms of the actual costs that students pay. And we have among the lowest average student loan debts of any institution in the state and in the Midwest. In fact, the US News and World Report, when they were looking at public institutions in the region, we are #2 in terms of social mobility, which is a measure of the value of college, of where you start and where you go after you graduate. And those are some of the keys to that I see to making sure that you're making the most of this investment while balancing. They're significant. It's an important investment that you're making at this point in your life.
Very important investment. And if you do have specific questions, because everybody's situation is different, please work with both with Amberly and she'll put you in contact with our financial aid counselors so that we can make sure that we're providing you the most cost-effective way that we can for you to come here to the University of Minnesota Crookston. The other part too, we kind of talked a little bit about it, but maybe we should talk a little bit more about residence life and what some of those activities will be, and some of the other things which are available to students. If you've been on campus, perhaps one of the things which you had a chance to tour was the Wellness Center. And the Wellness Center is open from like 6 until I think 11 on most days, a little bit shorter on some days. And it really provides a great opportunity for students not only to practice their physical wellness, but there's so many intramurals and other games that go on and ways for students to participate. Again, many people have not even practiced or had any experience with some of the intramural games. And it's about learning and again, about extending yourself and expanding yourself. Also the area of our groups that are involved in our music activities and to get involved with those. And then within the residence facilities themselves, then too, the residence halls all have different activities, ways to engage you, and also to help you making sure that you're studying and getting the kinds of resources that you need. In every one of the residence facilities, you can print directly from your room and have access to a lot of those resources, as well as most of the facilities have kitchenettes, just in case you get a little bit hungry for snack time later on as you're studying. And all those opportunities that provide you as a student to make that be your home. If you've been in our facilities, you've seen that they indeed are very nice. In fact, I remember showing one of my own daughters the facilities here, and she goes, "That's not fair. I never got to live in anything that nice." And I think that that our facilities, again, are ones that our custodial crew and our people take so much pride in making sure that they're kept well, and particularly now with COVID-19, to ensure that they're going to also be kept very clean for you, because that certainly as a parent and as everybody's concerned about that as we're going into the fall.
I might just add to that the same person on our campus who has responsibility overseeing our residence halls is the person who oversees our wellness, our campus nurse, our campus counseling center, and our disability resource center. we see these as really coming together and being connected. And it's while living on campus is more than just you know, a place where you have your bed, a place to stay. Living on campus is part of the learning experience and part of where we see students developing those wellness habits, those holistic wellness habits that are going to take them forward in life. It's part of the reason that when we do our research into higher education, we find out that not only do college graduates have more secure jobs and they make more money over their lifetime, they're less likely to get divorces, they are healthier, they live longer, fewer medical expenses, they're better parents, they're more likely to give philanthropically in their community, more likely to volunteer their time with charitable organizations. There's just a host of positive outcomes that are associated with a college degree, and we believe that part of that learning experience is right there where you live on campus. For those of you who live off campus, we find it's a great place in a small town and a small community like this to make sure that we're connecting. In fact, one of our goals is to help every one of our students, regardless of where you live, to connect with the members and the businesses of the Crookston community, a great way to, again, extend what you're learning in the class and connecting it to living in community with others outside of class.
It really builds upon a study that's been done over a number of years by the Gallup organization. And what they had done is they went back and reviewed and interviewed people after they've been at a school for 25, 30, 35 years or so. And what they found was it doesn't matter as much where you went to college. So you could go to an Ivy League, that's great. Or you can come to a wonderful school as the University of Minnesota Crookston, but it's how you go to school. It's if you're involved and if you're engaged in your school, if you have professors who take an interest in you, who know important things like your name, those are all really stronger indicators of your success in life, part of that. So I think that's really what Crookston is about. We ensure that people really go to school well, that you avail yourself to all of those activities, avail yourself to all of the services that are there, because we are about student success. And we want to ensure that when you come to our campus, that you are going to be a successful student. So. Any other questions or things that we didn't cover? Amberly, you gave us a list today, and then I haven't even looked at it yet. So I wanted to make sure we covered everything.
Then you did a fabulous job with your read-through because you remembered pretty much everything. We did have a question. Do you guys have any suggestions on the timeline for when students apply? This student had finished their junior year, so they're looking at, applying to colleges coming up here, starting that college process. Is there a good time to apply during the year? Do you have any suggestions on that? And I can give my little admissions opinion too with that.
Well, let me just give a little context, and then I may throw some of this back at you, Amberly.
That's fine.
So one of the things that we have done over the past several years is we've really tried to take a step forward in our philosophy and how we go about our recruitment and enrollment work. There's a lot of colleges and universities around the country that take, well, kind of a sales approach. Push comes to shove, there is part of the university that works like a business, and enrollment helps that business. We have taken the philosophical approach that being an admissions counselor is being a teacher, an educator, and that so Amberly's job is to help students, prospective college students, make really good decisions about where to go to college, and that sometimes means going somewhere else. If, for example, you're looking to go to college to some place where you can skip a lot of classes, not show up, Crookston's probably not the best place for you.
Not when your average class size is only 16.
And so that approach is our admissions counselors are really there to guide you and to help you make a really important decision. And we trust that if we do what's right by our students, that's going to help them to make the best decisions for them. And it's going to work out for us in the long run. I can tell you, and as I get ready to kind of hand this back to Amber Lee, some of this is a conversation that you can engage in with your admissions counselor. You can ask them questions like, so what should I write in my essay? Or what are you looking for in the essay? I know that sometimes students feel like, oh, is that cheating? Can I actually ask you? No, absolutely. That's why we have admissions counselors. They can talk to you about how you put together the strongest possible application packet, both for our institution and wherever it is that you're looking. And that fits in with that decision about when you apply. But with that, Amber Lee, do you have some other thoughts?
Yes, so as an admissions counselor, one of my favorite parts of my job is to work with those students and kind of help them through that whole college process, from things that might seem simple, like how do I start an application or what do I write about, to the more complex questions. The fabulous thing about the Crookston application is it is open for almost a whole year. So that fall 2020, our incoming fall 2020 class has until August 1st to apply for this fall. And then for fall 2021, we're looking at the end of August, middle of August, to open up that application, and that will be open until August of 2021 probably as well. So you do have almost a whole year of your senior year to apply and make that decision, and reach out to the counselors and, ask those questions. There are some scholarships. We do have our specialty scholarship, that pool of scholarships that those incoming freshmen can apply for, and that does have a deadline of the spring of their senior year. So I do encourage students to put in an application before that deadline so that they're eligible for those scholarships. But otherwise, our other achievement scholarship, that pool of scholarships is awarded the whole year. So they will always have an opportunity for scholarships as well. So working with that admissions counselor, working with your student and the family, and kind of coming up with a timeline for them, there is really no wrong answer.
I would also encourage students as much as possible to try to get to the campus and visit it. And that is so important, because you may have thought that this is where I'm going to go, and then you go there and things just don't feel right to you. It is one where it's okay to follow your intuition totally on that, because you're making a decision about what feels right for you, not what other people are suggesting you do. It is your decision, and try to make a decision based upon certainly looking at affordability, looking at rigor, looking at what your major is and what you're interested in, but also a place where you fit. And so as an admissions counselor, Amberly, sometimes, as John said, maybe we'll provide guidance that a different place is a better place for you. And again, you need to go to that, visit those campuses if possible. Hopefully that will be possible this year. If not, spend time on the phone with the admissions counselors on Zoom. Spend time to get a sense, and then ask to speak to students, because and find out from them what's their experience. So use this year to really make a decision, which is a good decision for you, and what your future is and what you think you want to do with your future.
And I love that you mentioned visits, which right now we're kind of in, like we said, this awkward time where we can't have students on campus. But that is also another part of my job. And I tell students all the time, go with your gut. I can guarantee you within 10 or 15 minutes of starting your campus tour, being on campus, you probably have a little bit of an internal feeling, and that's okay. And that is good. You don't have to share that with me as we're touring around campus, what your judgment call is. But it's just good to get that feel of campus. And right now we do have some wonderful virtual visit options as well, since we are not able to host students onto campus. So we are still providing them that connection with an admissions counselor, with a faculty member if they do want to have that conversation or start a conversation with a faculty member in their program, as well as start that conversation with financial aid. So a lot of those things that we do on campus during tours, we have tried to create virtually. We know it doesn't have the 100% same effect But right now it is still a great option for students too. And then we do hope to hopefully host some folks here back onto campus very shortly to get those feelings back on campus and really get on campus.
If I can, I'd like to add one other thing that you can mention, one other thing that you can talk with Amber Lee or whoever your admissions counselor is, what you can talk with them about, and that is that ACT test score. So at the University of Minnesota Crookston, we are test optional. What that means is some of you, in fact, some of you won't take the test at all. Many of you will take the ACT test and then you'll get that score back. And as you look at that number, some of you will feel like, you know what, that number, that reflects me. I think that's a pretty good number. I feel good about that, and I'd like that to be a part of my application packet. In other cases, in fact, in many cases, folks will see that number and say, you know, I sat for this test over 4 hours, and I just don't feel like that number does a good job of capturing who I am. And well, the good news for us is we're much more interested in what you will do over 4 years of high school than what you're going to do in 4 years while sitting for a test. So we place a lot of emphasis on your high school GPA, but we also are looking at what types of experiences you had in and out of the classroom during high school that may help position you for success while you're at Crookston. Students who were involved in high school, or students who were involved with their families, or who carried jobs outside of the classroom, or who were involved with churches or other religious organizations. We know that those students typically come and find ways to be involved on our campus, and that is one of the strongest indicators of success for us. So we pride ourselves in discovering talent that other colleges and universities miss. And so once again, I would encourage you, spend some time on the phone with your admissions counselor. Talk to them. I'm thinking about writing my essay this way. I'm thinking about putting things together that way. Listen to their advice, because they're going to help you to tell your story. And that's what we want to hear, is to see if your story makes sense to fit and to continue here on our campus.
Thank you, John. Thanks, Amberly. Is there anything else that you'd like us to cover tonight?
No, I think we covered everything for tonight. We do have more episodes coming up here throughout the summer. We've got our next one will be in middle of June, so be on the lookout for that. And that we are actually having some current students or students who just finished up a couple first-year students who will be able to really talk what is freshman year really like. So we're excited to have that one in June. In the end of June, we will have a Visit Us Virtually, where if we are still unable to have students onto campus, we'll actually be doing a walking tour of campus, showing some more classrooms, buildings, the student center where all those pool tournaments happen. And then in July also we'll be doing a wellness and athletic episode as well, where we'll be talking about the wellness center and the opportunities there through intramurals, through activities and clubs, and then also touching a little bit as well on athletics and what kind of, we're a Division II school, and we've got a couple upcoming competitive teams coming as well with hockey this year. And then talking a little bit about our track team that we just started this year. So that's some things that are coming up for our episodes, future episodes. Chancellor and Vice Chancellor, do you have any last words of wisdom to parents who are getting ready to send their kids off to college this year or next year? What's something that, as a parent who has sent off kids before, what do you wish you could go back and tell yourself, maybe with those first time worries or thoughts, or ease some minds?
So it's a saying that I keep, and I think that's just always important for parents to remember this. There are two things we give our children. One is roots and one is wings. And so the roots will ground them in making good decisions, and the wings are their future, to let them go, to let them experience and be who they are. And as sometimes a worried parent, I had to keep reminding myself of they have good roots. I've given them a good moral background. They will make good decisions. and I must let them be themselves. And so I do remember it's sometimes an emotional moment after you help move them in, and turn around and walk away quickly. Don't let them see you crying, and acknowledge the fact that this is not only a transition for your student, but it's also a transition for you as a parent, and to trust your child, to believe in your children, and I know that you do, and to really encourage them to experience their full college lifetime.
I would say something very similar. My oldest just graduated from college. My youngest is finishing up his sophomore year. But I recall that moment with my daughter, my stepdaughter. The first time when she was home for the weekend and was getting ready to go back to campus, and she said, "Well, it's been great seeing you. I'm heading home." And I thought, oh, it was one of those moments that just kind of caught me. This is home. But then as I started to think about it, yes, this is still home. This will always be home. And wherever my wife and I go, that will always be part of the space that is home for Hannah. But how special was it for us that to know that she was going to another home, to be a part of another family, and that's what college was, how college was emerging and evolving for her. We want your child to be a part of our family, but we also want you, all of the members of your family, to connect, and we'd like to be a part of your family as well. I think it's part of what makes a small community such as ours such a special place for these formative, for some of the most important years of one's life.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I was going to say our Golden Eagles and Golden Eagle family, and we will keep you posted as we go into our sunrise and let you know kind of what the plans are. So please make sure that you stay connected with us. We'll try to stay connected with you. And if all goes well, we hope to maybe see you on campus. We expect to see you on campus this fall. Maybe we'll be all social distancing, of course, but in the meantime, please take care of yourself. Be well, be healthy, and let us know if there's anything that you need from us as you make this transition onto your college days. So thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.